Captain Olivia Morgan never expected to find an alien woman hiding in the cargo hold of her ship, the Starseeker. The discovery happened during a routine check after leaving the trading outpost on Proxima Centauri B, where Olivia had gone to collect supplies and mechanical parts for her journey back to Earth. The alien woman had striking features with purple skin that seemed to shimmer under the artificial lights of the ship. Her eyes were large and completely golden with no visible pupils, and most notably she had a long tail covered in soft fur that moved with graceful sweeps behind her. When Olivia found her, the alien woman was curled up behind some storage containers, her tail wrapped protectively around her body. She looked terrified, but also determined not to show it. Olivia raised her hands to show she meant no harm and spoke in a soft voice. "We need to figure this out together. I won't hurt you." The alien woman tilted her head, the universal gesture of confusion, but seemed to relax slightly at Olivia's calm tone. Communication was difficult at first. The alien's vocal cords produced sounds unlike anything Olivia had heard before, melodic chirps and trills that no human translator could decipher yet. Through hand gestures and drawings they established a basic understanding. Olivia learned that the alien woman was a refugee. Her home planet had been ravaged by a civil war, and she had stowed away on the Starseeker, hoping to escape to somewhere safe. After a few days of awkward interactions, Olivia began to call the alien woman Violet because of her beautiful purple skin. When she first said the nickname, the alien woman seemed to understand that Olivia was referring to her. She made a trilling sound that almost resembled a laugh and pointed to herself, repeating a sound that sounded like Violet days past. And Olivia tried to learn more about her strange guest. She showed Violet star maps, asking her to point to her home system, but Violet only looked away, her golden eyes dimming with what Olivia recognized as sadness. The ship was 3 weeks away from Earth, and Olivia knew she needed to report the stowaway to her superiors, but something held her back. Perhaps it was the way Violet flinched whenever Olivia used the communication device, as if afraid of who might be listening. Lieutenant Kate Spencer found out about Violet. 5 days after her discovery, she had come to the cargo bay looking for Olivia, and instead found the alien woman organizing supply crates with surprising efficiency. Kate almost called security before Olivia intervened, explaining the situation in hushed tones, while Violet watched them both with wary golden eyes. "Shiz. Not dangerous, Kate. She's scared and alone," Olivia insisted, her hand unconsciously resting on the blaster at her hip, just in case she was wrong. Kate was skeptical, but agreed to keep Violet's presence secret, at least until they could determine if she posed any threat to the ship or its crew as days turned into weeks. Violet began to emerge from the cargo bay, exploring the ship with cautious curiosity. She seemed especially fascinated by the engine room, the humming of the massive drives making her tail twitch with excitement. Engineer Samantha Wright discovered Violet staring at the warp core, her golden eyes reflecting the blue energy pulsing at its center instead of panicking. Samantha simply handed Violet a tool and pointed to a panel that needed fixing. To everyone's surprise, Violet understood, immediately, her 6-fingered hands moving with precise delicacy as she repaired connections that human fingers found too small to manipulate. That night, Olivia called a meeting with Kate and Samantha. They needed to decide what to do about their alien passengers. "He's useful," Samantha said plainly. "She fixed systems I've been struggling with for months. She's still an unknown." Kate countered. "Her loyalty is uncertain. What if she's running from justice, not war?" Olivia listened to both arguments, weighing her responsibility as captain against her growing sympathy for Violet. "We keep her presence quiet. For now," she finally decided. "We learn what we can from her and about her, but we stay alert." The 3 women agreed, though Kate still looked troubled. That night, Olivia found Violet in the observation lounge, staring out at the stars, her tail moving in slow arcs behind her. Olivia sat beside her, offering a ration bar, which Violet accepted with a gentle chirp. "Do you miss home?" Olivia asked, knowing Violet wouldn't understand the words, but hoping her tone would convey the meaning. Violet made a series of sounds that rose and fell like music, then pointed to a distant star, her golden eyes filling with a shimmering liquid that Olivia realized must be Tears. Olivia placed a hand on Violet's shoulder, surprised when the alien woman didn't pull away instead. Violet placed her own six-fingered hand over Olivia's and made a soft, trilling sound. "I won't let anyone hurt you." Olivia promised, the words meaningless to Violet, but the sentiment somehow understood. That night, Violet didn't return to her makeshift bed in the cargo bay. Instead, she curled up in the co-pilot's chair on the bridge, her tail wrapped around her like a blanket. When Olivia found her there, in the morning, she didn't have the heart to send her away. Instead, she showed Violet how to monitor the ship systems, explaining each button and screen with patient gestures. By the end of the first month, Violet had begun to understand simple English, words though she could not speak them. Her own language remained a mystery of beautiful sounds that no human throat could reproduce. Olivia gave Violet a small tablet computer and showed her how to draw on it. Soon they had developed a rudimentary communication system of pictures and symbols. Through this system, Olivia learned more about Violet's homeworld, a place of towering crystal forests and oceans that glowed with bioluminescent life. She learned about the war that had torn Violet's people apart and the family she had lost in the fighting. With each passing day, the distance between human and alien diminished, replaced by a growing understanding and trust that transcended their biological differences. Violet no longer hid when other crew members entered a room, and the crew no longer startled at the sight of her purple skin and swishing tail. She had become, if not normal, then at least accepted as they approached the halfway point of their journey back to Earth. Olivia wondered, what would happen when they arrived? Would Earth welcome Violet, or would they see her as a potential threat, an alien to be studied and contained? The second month of their journey brought new challenges and discoveries as Violet became more integrated into the daily operations of the Starseeker. Olivia woke one morning to find the ship systems running more efficiently than they had in years. The environmental controls perfectly balanced and the engine output increased by 15%. She found Violet in the engine room with Samantha, both of them covered in grease. Their heads bent over a disassembled power coupling. She understands. "The system's better than I do," Samantha admitted with a mixture of professional jealousy and admiration. "It's like she can feel the energy flows with that tail of hers." Olivia watched as Violet's tail swished through the air behind her occasionally, twitching toward specific components before Violet would adjust them. It seemed the appendage wasn't just decorative, but served some sensory function. Through their crude communication system, Olivia learned that Violet's species had evolved on a planet with high electromagnetic fields. Their tails contained sensitive organs that could detect energy fluctuations invisible to humans. This discovery proved invaluable when the ship encountered a field of space debris. 3 days later, Violet's tail began twitching violently hours before the ship's sensors detected anything. Trusting her alien companions' warning, Olivia altered their course, avoiding a collision that could have caused serious damage. Kate, who had remained skeptical of Violet, began to change her mind after this incident, even going so far as to invite the alien woman to join their nightly card games. Violet proved to be an excellent card player, her alien features impossible to read, giving her a perfect poker face, though she still didn't understand the rules completely. These quiet evenings helped bridge the gap between species as the humans taught Violet simple games, and in return she showed them intricate patterns she could weave with her 6 fingers, creating string figures that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Food remained a challenge. Violet's biology was different enough that many human foods made her ill. After several experiments, they discovered she could safely eat most fruits and certain proteins, but nothing containing lactose or high levels of sodium. Olivia began setting aside portions of suitable foods, making sure Violet had enough to eat, even when supplies ran low. One night during her watch, Olivia heard strange sounds coming from the observation deck. She found Violet there making those musical trilling sounds, but this time with a rhythm and repetition that suggested language, or perhaps song. Violet noticed Olivia and stopped immediately, her golden eyes lowering as if embarrassed. "Don't stop," Olivia said, gesturing for Violet to continue. "It was beautiful." After a moment's hesitation, Violet began again, the sounds rising and falling in complex patterns that made Olivia's heart ache with their beauty. Through gestures and drawings, Olivia learned this was a mourning song for Violet's lost family members, a ritual her people performed to help guide the spirits of the dead to their ancestral stars. Olivia sat with Violet until the song ended, then without words, pulled the alien woman into a gentle embrace. Violet stiffened at first, then relaxed, her tail curling around Olivia's waist in what seemed to be her species' version of a hug. The next morning, Olivia found a small object outside her quarters door, a delicate sculpture made from spare wires and metal scraps twisted into a form that resembled two figures standing side by side, one human, one alien, their hands touching. Olivia kept the sculpture on the console of the bridge, a symbol of the unlikely friendship that had developed. Across the stars as their journey continued, the Starseeker received a transmission from Earth Command asking for a status update. Olivia hesitated before responding, omitting any mention of Violet. She wasn't ready to explain their alien passenger, not until she could ensure Violet's safety. Kate questioned this decision during their next officers' meeting, her loyalty to Earth Command warring with her growing fondness for Violet. "We can't hide her forever," Kate argued. "Earth will detect her biosignature the moment we enter the solar system." "I know," Olivia admitted, "but I want to approach this carefully. If we report her as a refugee, rather than a stowaway, she might have more rights under the Centauri Accords." Samantha supported this plan. Her initial curiosity about Violet's technical abilities had grown into genuine concern for her well-being. As they discussed options, Violet entered the room carrying a tray of the fruit she could safely eat, offering it to the humans with a gesture that mimicked their own sharing rituals. She had been watching and learning their customs. The simple act of sharing food made their theoretical discussions suddenly personal. Violet wasn't just an alien or a refugee. She had become part of their crew, a member of their small community. "We protect our own," Kate finally said with a resigned sigh, her decision made. The next few weeks brought a new routine to the ship. Violet began taking regular shifts, monitoring the ship's systems, her sensitivity to energy fluctuations, making her an ideal early warning system for potential problems. She slept in the co-pilot's chair on the bridge, her tail occasionally twitching as she dreamed of things the humans could only imagine. Olivia often wondered what would happen when they reached Earth. Would Violet be studied, quarantined, or worse, would she be sent back to the war zone she had fled? These worries kept Olivia awake at night until she decided to take action. She began recording everything they learned about Violet, her abilities, her culture, her language, creating a case file that might help protect her when they reached Earth. Samantha contributed detailed notes about Violet's technical insights, and Kate somewhat reluctantly added security assessments that highlighted Violet's value as a potential ally. Halfway through the third month of their journey, the Starseeker received a distress call from a nearby system. The signal was weak but urgent. A ship in trouble. Olivia called the crew to the bridge, including Violet, who had earned her place at the console. "We should investigate." Olivia said, "It's our duty to respond to distress calls." Kate nodded in agreement, calculating the detour would add approximately 2 weeks to their journey, but lives could be at stake. They discussed the situation. Violet became agitated, her tail lashing back and forth, her golden eyes wide with what looked like recognition. Through their communication system, she indicated that she understood the signal. It was from her people. This revelation changed everything. What had seemed like a standard rescue mission now carried implications for Violet and potentially for humanity's first official contact with her species. After careful consideration, Olivia set course for the distress signal location, with Violet growing more anxious with each passing day. Samantha spent hours with Violet trying to improve their communication system, adding new symbols and pictograms to their shared vocabulary. Through this enhanced system, they learned more about Violet's people. They called themselves the Lier, and their conflict had begun as a philosophical disagreement over whether to seek contact with other species. The faction Violet belonged to had advocated for peaceful exploration and exchange, while the opposing faction feared outside influence would destroy their culture. The Civil War had raged for what humans would measure as 3 years, devastating their homeworld and forcing many like Violet to flee. This information gave Olivia pause. Was she involving her ship and crew in an alien civil war by responding to this distress call? She discussed her concerns with Kate and Samantha, both of whom had grown protective of Violet, but remained mindful of their duty to Earth. We proceed with caution. Olivia finally decided we assess the situation before committing to a rescue. Violet seemed to understand their hesitation. She used their communication system to explain that the ship in distress would likely contain civilians like her, refugees seeking safety, not soldiers. As they approached the coordinates of the distress signal, Violet grew increasingly restless, her tail constantly in motion, her golden eyes fixed on the view screen. The sensors detected a small vessel adrift in space, its power systems failing and life support critically low. Initial scans showed approximately 20 life forms aboard, all with biosignatures similar to Violet's. Olivia ordered the Starseeker to approach cautiously, shields raised, and weapons systems on standby just in case this was some kind of trap. Violet stood beside her at the command console, her purple skin seeming to pulse with emotion, her six-fingered hand resting lightly on Olivia's arm in a gesture of trust and reassurance. As the ship came into visual range, Olivia saw it was badly damaged, hull breaches patched with makeshift repairs, and energy leaking from its failing engines. Violet made a soft, keening sound at the sight, her tail drooping, in what Olivia had come to recognize as sadness. Were going to help them. Olivia promised, though she knew Violet couldn't understand all her words. The alien woman seemed to grasp her intent and nodded, her golden eyes shimmering with hope. The rescue operation began immediately. Olivia coordinated with Kate to establish a secure docking procedure, while Samantha prepared the medical bay for potential casualties. Violet paced the bridge, her tail swishing with nervous energy as the Starseeker maneuvered alongside the damaged alien vessel. Scans revealed the ship's life support would fail completely within hours, making the rescue time sensitive. But Olivia remained cautious. "We need to establish communication," she told Kate. "Make sure they understand we're here to help." Not threatened, Violet stepped forward, making an urgent chirping sound. She pointed to herself, then to the communication system. Olivia understood immediately. Violet wanted to speak to her people. After a moment's hesitation, Olivia activated the ship's external communication array and nodded to Violet. The alien woman leaned toward the microphone and produced a complex series of musical trills and chirps that rose and fell in what must have been sentences or questions. After a pause, the damaged ship responded with similar sounds, though these seemed weaker. More fragmented, Violet's golden eyes widened, and her tail straightened in alarm. She turned to Olivia, making urgent gestures toward the alien ship through their improvised communication system. Violet conveyed that the situation aboard the refugee vessel was dire. The remaining power was being used to maintain a containment field around a damaged engine core. If it failed, the ship would explode. Olivia made a quick decision: we need to evacuate them now. She ordered Kate, prepare security teams just in case, but keep weapons holstered unless absolutely necessary. The docking procedure took 20 tense minutes, the damaged ship drifting slightly with each attempt, until finally the airlock sealed with a metallic clunk. Violet stood at the airlock, her tail twitching with anticipation as the pressure equalized and the doors slowly opened. The sight that greeted them was heart-wrenching. A group of Violet's people, huddled in the corridor beyond, their purple skin dull with exhaustion and their golden eyes dimmed to a faint amber. Unlike Violet, these aliens wore simple garments adorned with geometric patterns, and several had intricate braids woven into their fur-covered tails. One stepped forward, slightly taller than the others, with elaborate markings on her face. She produced a series of musical sounds directed at Violet. Violet responded, her own sounds seeming more fluid and practiced than the halting attempts at communication she made with the humans through gestures and their limited shared vocabulary. Violet explained to Olivia that this was Marana, a teacher and community leader who had organized the escape from their home system. Olivia welcomed them aboard with careful hand gestures that Violet had taught her, the universal greeting of her people, palms up, fingers spread to show openness and peace. The refugees responded in kind, though many looked at the humans with obvious fear, their tails tucked close to their bodies in defensive postures. Samantha arrived with medical supplies and began scanning the newcomers for injuries, with Violet's help to explain the procedure. Olivia, meanwhile, consulted with Kate about their next steps. "We have 23 new passengers," Kate reported. "Most adults, 3 appear to be children. Their ship is beyond repair and will likely breach containment within the next 12 hours. We need to clear the area before that happens. Olivia decided and set course for Earth. We're already overdue for contact, so this just accelerates our timeline. The integration of the refugees created new challenges. Despite Violet's assistance, communication remained difficult, and the ship's resources were stretched thin. With so many additional mouths to feed, Mirana proved to be a valuable ally. She had studied xenobiology on her homeworld and understood the concept of different biological needs. She helped identify which ship supplies were safe for her people to consume as the days passed. Olivia observed the interactions between Violet and the other refugees, noticing a subtle change in how they treated her initially. There had been warm reunions, but these gave way to whispered conversations and occasional looks of concern. Violet spent more time on the bridge than with her own kind, her tail often drooping in what Olivia recognized as sadness through their communication system. Olivia finally asked what was wrong. Violet's response was difficult to interpret, but Olivia gathered that her people were discussing what would happen when they reached Earth. Some feared they would be treated as specimens or prisoners. Others worried about cultural contamination, but there seemed to be something more personal. In Violet's distress one evening, Olivia found Violet alone in the observation lounge, staring at the stars. Mirana had just left the tension between them, obvious even across species. Olivia sat beside Violet, offering silent companionship until the alien woman began to use their communication system to explain, with simple drawings and their shared vocabulary. Violet revealed that she had been part of a scientific team studying other species before the war. Her position controversial among her people. Mirana and the others feared her closeness to the humans confirmed their worst concerns. That contact with aliens would change them, make them less liar. Olivia felt a surge of protectiveness. Violet had found acceptance among the humans, only to be rejected by her own kind. The irony wasn't lost on her. How many human stories had explored this very situation, the outsider caught between worlds, belonging fully to neither? That night, Olivia called a meeting with Kate and Samantha, explaining Violet's situation. We need to show the refugees that cooperation benefits both species. Samantha suggested maybe involve them in ship operations so they can see we're working together, not controlling. Kate agreed, though her focus remained on security. These tensions could escalate if not addressed. Olivia developed a plan with their help over the next few days. She assigned mixed teams for ship maintenance and operations, pairing humans with the more technically inclined refugees. Violet served as translator and cultural bridge, her unique position suddenly an advantage rather than a source of isolation. Progress was slow and misunderstandings common, but small breakthroughs occurred, a shared joke that transcended language barriers, a moment of cooperation that solved a technical problem neither species could handle alone. Mirana gradually softened her stance, especially after Samantha helped save one of the refugee children who had accidentally ingested something toxic to their species. 2 weeks into this new arrangement, the Starseeker encountered a massive ion storm, one that threatened to overwhelm their shields and damage critical systems. Olivia ordered emergency protocols, but the storm intensified faster than predicted. Soon alarms blared throughout the ship as power fluctuations threatened life support in the chaos. Violet and several refugees rushed to the engine room, where Samantha struggled to maintain power through gestures and their limited shared language. Violet explained that her people's sensitivity to electromagnetic fields gave them unique insights into the storm's patterns. Mirana stepped forward, offering to help, her tail already twitching. In response to the energy surges that human instruments could barely detect, what followed was an unprecedented collaboration. As the refugees formed a chain around the engine core, their tails moving in coordinated waves, sensing disruptions before they hit. Samantha adjusted the shields, based on their warnings, creating a modulating frequency that rode the storm's patterns rather than fighting against them. Olivia watched from the bridge as power stabilized, the combined ingenuity of both species accomplishing what neither could have done alone. When the storm finally passed, the ship had sustained only minor damage, a miracle given the storm's intensity. That night, Mirana approached Olivia using Violet as translator. She made a series of gestures that Violet explained were signs of respect and gratitude. Through their improved communication system, Mirana expressed a new perspective. Perhaps their peoples were meant to find each other. Perhaps difference could be strength rather than weakness. The remaining journey to Earth saw a transformation among the refugees and crew alike, walls of suspicion crumbling as they worked together to prepare for their arrival. Violet flourished in her role as bridge between species, her tail now constantly swishing with renewed confidence and purpose as they approached the outer edges of the solar system. Olivia received orders to divert to Luna Station for quarantine and debriefing standard procedure for any ship returning with unknown biological materials. He gathered everyone in the cargo bay, the largest space available, to explain through Violet and Mirana what would happen next. The refugees listened with obvious anxiety, their tails twitching nervously at the mention of quarantine and examination. Olivia assured them they would be treated as refugees seeking asylum, not as specimens. Earth had protocols for first contact situations, even unexpected ones like this. As she spoke, Olivia realized how protective she had become of these people. Not just Violet, but all of them. Their safety and dignity now as important to her as her own crews. Kate, standing beside her, seemed to read her thoughts. "We're not going to let anyone treat them like lab experiments," she said quietly. "No, we're not," Olivia agreed. "Earth needs to recognize them as people. With rights and culture, we make that clear from the start." Violet watched this exchange, her golden eyes moving between the two human women who had become her friends. Her six-fingered hand reached out to touch Olivia's arm in a gesture of trust. That evening, as Luna Station appeared as a bright point of light against Earth's blue curve, Olivia found Violet in their usual spot in the observation lounge. The approach to Luna Station was tense with anticipation. Olivia had sent ahead their situation report, detailing the rescue of the alien refugees and requesting appropriate diplomatic protocols. Earth's response was cautious, but not hostile. A team of xenobiologists, first contact specialists, and diplomatic personnel would meet them at the station. The refugees would undergo medical screening, but would be treated as asylum seekers, not research subjects. Olivia relayed this information to Violet and Mirana, watching as they translated for the others. The visible relief in their postures as tails that had been tucked tight against bodies in anxiety began to relax. Kate coordinated with station security, arranging for separate quarters for the Lear, with environmental controls adjusted to their comfort. Samantha worked with station engineers to share what they'd learned about Lear biology and dietary needs as they docked. Olivia stood at the airlock with Violet and Mirana beside her. The three of them would be the first to disembark. Setting the tone for this historic meeting, the airlock cycled open, revealing a small reception committee led by Commander Helena Foster, a veteran of Earth Space Program and current head of Luna. Station's Diplomatic Division Commander Foster stepped forward, her expression neutral but her eyes curious. "Welcome to Luna Station, Captain Morgan," she said formally. "I see you've brought us some unexpected guests." Olivia performed the introductions, with careful attention to protocol, though she'd never trained for first contact situations. Her months with Violet had taught her the importance of gesture and body language in cross-species communication. "This is Violet," Olivia said, using the nickname she'd given the alien woman, though she followed it with her best attempt at Violet's true name, a musical trill that made Commander Foster raise her eyebrows. "And this is Community Leader Mirana." Olivia continued, "They and their people are refugees seeking asylum. Their homeworld has been devastated by civil war." Commander Foster nodded, then performed the open palm greeting that Olivia had described in her report, a gesture that made Violet's golden eyes widen with surprise and Mirana's tail swish with approval. Over the next several hours, the refugees were escorted to the medical bay for examination, while Olivia, Kate, and Samantha were debriefed by station personnel. The debriefing was thorough, but not accusatory. Commander Foster seemed more interested in learning about the Lear than in criticizing Olivia's decision to aid them. "They have a remarkable sensitivity to electromagnetic fields," Commander Foster noted, reviewing Samantha's technical reports. "Their ability to detect energy fluctuations could revolutionize our sensor technology if they're willing to share their knowledge. But remember, they're people, not technology resources," Olivia said firmly. "They have their own culture, history, and rights." Commander Foster studied Olivia for a moment. "You've grown quite protective of them, Captain Morgan, especially. You're Violet." Olivia felt a flush of embarrassment but didn't deny it. "I have, Commander, and I'd appreciate if Earth authorities approached this situation with appropriate respect." That evening, Olivia was permitted to visit the refugee quarters, finding them settled in spaces that had been hastily but thoughtfully adapted for their needs. The lighting dimmed to accommodate their sensitive eyes, and the temperature raised slightly to match their homeworld. Violet greeted Olivia with a happy trill, her tail swishing with genuine pleasure at the reunion, though they'd only been separated for a few hours. Mirana approached them, her initial wariness of human authorities having given way to cautious optimism after the respectful treatment they'd received through their improved communication system. Mirana expressed gratitude for Earth's welcome, but also concern about their future. Would they be permitted to stay? Would they be kept together as a community? Olivia promised to advocate for them, though she knew the decision would ultimately rest with higher authorities than herself. For the next week, Luna Station became the center of intense activity as diplomats, scientists, and security experts arrived from Earth to meet the Lear. Violet found herself in the unexpected role of cultural ambassador, spending hours with linguists who worked to develop a more sophisticated translation system. Her months aboard the Starseeker had given her insights into human behavior that proved invaluable as she helped explain her people's customs and needs. Olivia watched this development with mixed emotions, proud of Violet's confidence, but increasingly aware that their time together would soon end. The Starseeker would be reassigned once the debriefings concluded, and Violet would remain with her people. One evening, as Luna hung in the observation window of the station's common area, Violet found Olivia staring out. At Earth below, they stood in companionable silence until Violet produced a small object from a pocket in the new garments she'd been provided by station personnel. Was another sculpture similar to the one she'd made aboard the Starseeker, but more complex. This one showed the ship itself with tiny figures on its bridge, human and Lear standing together. Olivia accepted the gift with a tight throat, understanding its meaning, a memento of their journey together, a journey that was ending. The next day brought surprising news. Commander Foster informed Olivia that Earth authorities had located an uninhabited island on the Pacific Basin, with climate conditions similar to the Lear homeworld. The refugees would be offered settlement there with autonomy to establish their own community, while cultural exchange programs would be developed at a pace comfortable for both species. When Olivia shared this news with Mirana and the other refugees, their response was overwhelmingly positive, their golden eyes brightening and their tails swishing with excitement at the prospect of a new home. Violet, however, seemed subdued, her own tail barely moving as the others celebrated through their communication system now enhanced by the station's linguists. Violet explained her feelings. She was grateful for the solution, but uncertain of her place. She had changed during her time with humans. Her perspective widened in ways that made her different from her people. Olivia understood all too well the burden of being between worlds, neither fully part of the crew hierarchy nor separate from it. Violet had found her own path, one that didn't fit neatly into either human or Lear society. 2 days later, Olivia received her new orders. The Starseeker would undergo repairs and resupply, then depart on a diplomatic mission to the Centauri colonies. She would retain command with Kate and Samantha, continuing as her senior officers. The mission briefing included a surprising addition Earth authorities requested: the assignment of a Lear cultural attaché to facilitate understanding between species. Someone who had experience with both human and Lear customs. Olivia knew immediately who they meant, but didn't dare hope until Commander Foster confirmed it. Violet had volunteered for the position with Mirana's blessing. That night, Olivia found Violet in the station's garden, a small space designed to provide fresh produce and psychological comfort for long-term residents. Violet was examining a flowering plant, her golden eyes wide with wonder at the unfamiliar Earth biology, her tail swishing gently behind her. "I heard about your new assignment," Olivia said, searching for the right words to express her feelings. Violet turned her alien features impossible to read, but her tail swished faster, a sign Olivia had come to recognize as happiness. Through the translator, Violet explained her decision. The other refugees would build their new community on Earth, preserving what remained of their culture, while she would forge a different path, building bridges between species. It seemed fitting somehow that she'd be aboard the Starseeker, the ship that had become her first home among the stars. Mirana visited the ship the day before its scheduled departure. bringing gifts from the Lear community, beautifully woven materials and carved items that displayed their artistic traditions. Her attitude toward Violet had transformed from suspicion to respect. She now saw Violet's position between worlds as valuable, rather than threatening through the translator. Mirana told Olivia that ancient Lear legends spoke of bridge people who would guide their species to new understanding. These had once been dismissed as myths, but perhaps they contained wisdom after all. The day of departure arrived with minimal ceremony. Commander Foster saw them off with a brief speech about the importance of their mission and the historic nature of having a Lear crew member aboard a human vessel. Violet stood on the bridge, in a modified uniform that accommodated her tail, the golden insignia of a cultural attaché gleaming against the dark fabric as the Starseeker undocked from Luna Station. Olivia gave the order to set course for Centauri, her crew human and Lear working together with practiced efficiency. That evening, Olivia found Violet in what had become her customary spot in the co-pilot's chair on the bridge, her tail swishing contentedly as she monitored the ship's systems, looking at her alien friend. Olivia reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. The frightened stowaway hiding in the cargo hold had become a confident crew member with an official role and purpose. What began as an act of compassion, hiding a refugee, had evolved into something far more significant, the first steps toward genuine understanding between two very different species. As the Starseeker accelerated toward the distant stars, Olivia knew their story was just beginning. Violet would face challenges as the first of her kind to serve aboard a human vessel, and humans would need to adapt to the presence of a Lear among them. The Starseeker's mission to the Centauri colonies began smoothly, the ship gliding through the void between stars with renewed purpose. Violet adapted quickly to her official role as cultural attaché, developing a more sophisticated communication system with help from Earth linguists. It combined visual symbols, vocal recordings, and simple Earth words she could approximate with her alien vocal structures. The crew welcomed her new status. Some had served with Olivia, Kate, and Samantha during the initial journey, and had already accepted Violet. Others were new transfers, curious about their alien crewmate. Lieutenant Mary Wilson, the new security chief, was particularly interested in learning about Lear combat techniques and defensive strategies, information that might prove valuable for Earth. Violet explained through her translator that her people were not naturally warlike. Their sensitivity to electromagnetic fields made them more suited to detection and avoidance than direct confrontation. Nevertheless, she demonstrated remarkable reflexes and spatial awareness during standard security drills, her tail providing an extra sense that gave her advantages in detecting movement behind her. Chief Medical Officer Diane Chen studied Violet's biology with professional fascination, documenting her species' remarkable healing abilities and unique physiological responses. Violet submitted to these examinations with patient grace, understanding their importance for future human-Lear relations. Though she drew the line at certain invasive procedures, her body was not a laboratory. As the weeks passed, the novelty of having a Lear aboard faded, replaced by routine acceptance. Violet was no longer the alien, but simply another crew member with specific talents and quirks. She continued to sleep in the co-pilot's chair on the bridge, her tail occasionally twitching as she dreamed. Though she'd been offered private quarters, she seemed to prefer the open space and constant hum of ship systems. Olivia often found herself watching Violet during quiet moments on the bridge, still amazed by the journey that had brought them together. Their first diplomatic mission at Alpha Centauri proved challenging. The colonial governor was skeptical about the value of Lear-human cooperation, questioning whether Earth's resources should be used to support alien refugees. Violet attended the meetings, her very presence a powerful statement as she calmly answered questions about her people, their culture, and their potential contributions to human society. Her composure in the face of suspicion impressed even the most doubtful officials. By the end of the week-long conference, preliminary trade agreements had been established between the colonies and the new Lear settlement on Earth. Returning to the ship after the final meeting, Olivia noticed Violet's exhaustion, her normally vibrant purple skin dulled and her tail drooping behind her. "You did well," she told her alien friend as they rode the shuttle back to the Starseeker. Violet made a soft trilling sound that Olivia had come to recognize as appreciation, though she no longer needed the translator to understand Violet's basic emotions. That night, Olivia found Violet in the observation lounge, staring out at the Centauri system, her golden eyes reflecting the light of its 3 stars. Through her translator, Violet expressed the strange feeling of being so far from both her original home and the new Lear settlement on Earth she belonged. Nowhere and everywhere, a bridge between worlds, but fully part of neither. Olivia sat beside her. "I know that feeling," she admitted. "When you're a starship captain, home becomes a concept, more than a place. It's found in people, and purpose, not locations." Violet considered this, her tail swishing thoughtfully behind her. Then she gestured to the ship around them and made a series of sounds that the translator interpreted as, "The Starseeker is my home now, and you are my family." The simple statement touched Olivia, deeply reinforcing her commitment to making this unprecedented arrangement work. Their next assignment took them to the outer colonies' worlds, where human settlement was still new, and resources stretched thin. On Valencia III, they encountered a struggling agricultural colony facing crop failures due to unpredictable electromagnetic storms in the planet's upper atmosphere. Violet spent hours with her tail extended, sensing the patterns in these disturbances, working with the colony's scientists to develop warning systems that could predict the storms hours before they struck. This success story spread to other colonies. Soon the Starseeker began receiving requests, specifically asking for the Lear cultural attaché and her unique abilities. Olivia watched with pride as Violet grew into her role, no longer hesitant or uncertain, but confident in her value to both species. 6 months into their mission, they received an unexpected communication from Earth. A Lear vessel had emerged from hyperspace near Luna Station, the first ship from their homeworld to arrive since the refugees. The vessel carried diplomats from the moderate faction in the Lear Civil War, seeking formal relations with Earth and news of the refugee community. More significantly, they brought personal messages for Violet and the other refugees, news of family members presumed lost, and updates on the political situation at home. Olivia was present when Violet received her message, watching as her alien friend's golden eyes widened and her tail went completely still in shock. Through the translator, Violet explained that her sister, believed dead in an attack on their research facility, had survived and was among the diplomats now orbiting Earth. The Starseeker was immediately ordered to return to the Sol system, their diplomatic mission temporarily suspended in favor of this more pressing development. During the journey back, Violet alternated between excited anticipation and nervous anxiety, her tail constantly in motion. As she prepared for a reunion she had never expected, Olivia tried to provide support but recognized that some experiences transcended species. Understanding the complex emotions of family relationships were universal, yet deeply personal. They arrived at Luna Station 3 weeks later, docking alongside the Lear vessel, an elegant craft with organic curves that contrasted with the angular human architecture. Violet stood at the airlock, her new uniform immaculate, her tail swishing with nervous energy as the doors cycled open. The Lear diplomat who stepped through was slightly taller than Violet, with darker purple skin and intricate markings across her face. She froze at the sight of Violet. Their golden eyes locked in mutual recognition. What followed was a reunion that needed no translation. Their musical trills and chirps rising and falling in emotional harmonies as they embraced their tails, intertwining in what Olivia recognized as a deeply personal greeting. Later, after formal introductions and diplomatic pleasantries, Olivia learned that Violet's sister Alara was not just any diplomat, but the new leader of the moderate faction fighting for peace and interspecies cooperation. Through translators, Alara explained that news of the refugees' successful integration on Earth had spread among their people, changing perspectives and strengthening the peace movement. Violet's choice to serve aboard a human vessel had become a powerful symbol of cooperation, inspiring others to reconsider their fear of outside influences. For the next 2 weeks, the Starseeker remained at Luna Station, while Alara and her diplomatic team negotiated formal relations with Earth authorities. Violet found herself in the unexpected position of mediator, helping both sides understand cultural nuances that might otherwise lead to misunderstandings. Olivia watched this development with mixed emotions. Pride in Violet's accomplishments mingled with the growing realization that her friend might soon have new responsibilities calling her away from the Starseeker. One evening, she found Violet and Alara in the station's garden, comparing notes on human botany. their tails moving in synchronized patterns that suggested deep conversation. Violet noticed Olivia and invited her to join them, introducing her captain to Ilara with obvious pride. Through the translator, Ilara expressed gratitude for Olivia's protection of her sister, and by extension, all the refugees her actions had preserved a vital part of Lear culture, and created the possibility for peace as the diplomatic talks concluded. Earth and the Lear moderate faction established formal relations with embassies to be exchanged, and cooperative research programs developed. Ilara prepared to return home with this historic agreement, her mission accomplished, but one question remained. What would Violet choose to do? The night before the Lear vessel's scheduled departure, Olivia found Violet in their usual spot in the observation lounge, Earth, visible through the viewport, its blue oceans reminding Olivia of the shimmering skin of the Lear. Have you decided? Olivia asked, keeping her tone neutral, though her heart was heavy with the prospect of losing her friend. Violet turned her alien features, unreadable, but her tail movement speaking volumes of inner conflict. Through the translator, she explained her dilemma. Ilara had offered her a position in the new diplomatic corps, her experience with humans making her uniquely qualified to help build bridges between their species. Yet the Starseeker had become her home and its crew her family. She had found purpose among the stars that she had never known on her homeworld. Olivia listened, offering no advice. This decision had to be Violet's, alone, though every fiber of her being hoped her friend would stay the next morning. As the crews gathered for the formal farewell ceremony, Violet stood beside Olivia in her Starseeker uniform, her decision made.